Active, and it's mighty delicious. It's called Jello a la mode, and it's one of the nicest desserts we've ever told you about. You can make it with either strawberry or raspberry Jello. Dissolve the Jello in hot water. Turn into a shallow pan and chill until firm. Then cut the Jello into shimmering little cubes and pile in sherbet glasses. Top each glass full of these Jello cubes with a small mound of vanilla ice cream. And believe me, you'll have a dessert to cheer about. Luscious, full-flavored Jello, crimson strawberry or rich glowing raspberry, topped off with vanilla ice cream. But you must use genuine Jello if you want that extra rich fruit flavor, that deep, true fruit goodness which makes every Jello dessert so grand. No other gelatin dessert brings you Jello's extra rich fruit flavor. So always ask for Jello by name. Look for the big red letters on the box. They spell Jello.
Good night, folks. Good night.
J-E-L-L.
Here's a special announcement. The brilliant new Maxwell House Coffee program, Good News of 1938, begins next Thursday night, November 4th, over most of these same stations. It's a full hour's visit to the great MGM lot with Hollywood's most famous stars. See your local paper for time and station nearest you and be sure to tune in. The tune Blue Bonnet heard on this program is from the Casino Show and from the Pan American Exposition. Kenny Baker has appeared on this program through the courtesy of Mervyn LeRoy. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
And hope you've enjoyed that episode of the Jack Benny Show from Halloween time 1937 on this edition of Joe's Old Time Retro Radio program. And coming up now, we'll head back to 1949 right after this quick message. So stick around, won't you?
Hi friends, Joe Hafner here. Are you interested in buying, selling, trading, or renting a house? Or maybe you're in the market for buying or selling a car, or perhaps selling or giving away clothes, furniture, or electronics. Well, I can help you out. Just email me, Joe, at Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. That's Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. Email me today with your item and or items, and together we'll come up with a creative way to buy, sell, trade, or rent any reasonable item or service that you want. Keep in mind, though, I don't deal with the exchange of firearms, alcohol items, drugs, or anything illegal or immoral. So send me an email today at Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Joe's Retro Radio program for this Sunday night, the 27th day of October 2013. And we'll continue on with the Jack Benny Show, and this time jump ahead 12 years to 1949. And this program begins with a brief interview with announcer Don Wilson, who's talking about what made Jack so successful and how he joined up with the show. To mark Don's 25th year in radio and 15 years with Jack Benny, Jack introduces Don instead. Jack wants to pay homage to Don to make him the man of the hour. Phil has a gift for Don and tells how he got it. Mary enters for a few jokes about the start of Don's appearance on the show. And then Dennis tells about his Halloween pranks, sings, The Last Mile Home. Rochester phones in to remind Jack of his ordeal with buying a yacht just a couple of episodes back when Jack had a generous spell. Frank Sinatra pops in, but it makes Dennis jealous, and after joking around, Frank sings, "You Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby," Mel Blanc and the Sportsmen jump in to add the word from the sponsor. Jack finally puts on a play to review the life of Don Wilson. As Don's history is being reviewed, plenty of fat jokes abound. The story takes us all the way up to the point where Don met Jack. And now, without further delay, here is from the Halloween time, 1949, The Jack Benny Show.
The Jack Benny Program, presented by Lucky Strike.
To
give you more smoking enjoyment, Lucky's pay more.
Yes, to give you a finer cigarette, the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy fine tobacco and pay millions of dollars more than official parity prices to get it. No doubt about it.
LSMFT, LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Fine, ripe tobacco that the tobacco experts can see the makers of Lucky Strike buy at market after market.
Listen to what Mr. Al Rogers, an independent tobacco auctioneer from Robertsonville, North Carolina, recently said.
An auctioneer is in a position to watch actual sales and ought to know good tobacco. And year after year, I've seen American buy fine, prime, ripe tobacco that's just right for mild, good smoking. I smoked Lucky's for 10 years.
And that's not all. For a recent survey reveals that more independent tobacco experts, auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen smoke Lucky Strike regularly than the next two leading brands combined.
So smoke the smoke tobacco experts smoke, Lucky Strike. You'll discover there's more real deep-down smoking enjoyment in every Lucky you light. Because Lucky's pay more for fine tobacco. Millions of dollars more than official parity prices.
Make your next carton Lucky Strike. See how much finer, milder, and more enjoyable Lucky's really are. You'll agree, in all the world, there's no finer cigarette.
The Lucky Strike program, starring Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in bringing you the star of our show, it gives me great pleasure to
Just
bring
a
you
minute, Don. Don, hold it a minute.
What?
Don, today, instead of you introducing me, I'm going to introduce you.
Me?
Yes, Don. Ladies and gentlemen, today not only marks the anniversary of Don Wilson's 25th year in radio, but it also commemorates his 16th year with me. So, Don, take a bow.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And, Jack, I want you to know that you're the nicest
No,
man
wait a minute, Don. Wait a minute. This day is yours. Today we will all pay homage to you. When I say we, I mean the entire cast. Your slightest wish will be our command. Whatever you... Don, you're crying.
Well, I can't help it, Jack.
The way those tears are running between your chins, it looks like you're irrigating something. Now, Don, please stop sniffling.
But I'm all right now. I just couldn't help getting emotional when I realized that you've been with me for 16 years.
No, Don. Don, you've been with me.
To think that I came on this show when it was down, and because of my
When it was
personality...
down?
And because of my personality and showmanship, I raised it to the pinnacle of success.
Don.
It wasn't easy. The hurdles were many. There were battles to be fought. But I faced them and brought us through to ultimate victory.
I don't know, to hear him talk, you think I was the Navy and he was the Air Force. Don, as far as my program is concerned, you have a lot of nerve making statements like that.
All right, wait a minute, Jackson. I heard what Donzie said, and I think he's right.
Do I hear a voice from the peroxide counter at Rexall?
You heard me, Duncan.
Duncan?
You want to go back to Clyde?
No. Duncan is all right. No, Duncan is all right. I don't mind.
You're going to settle for Dunk, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Sure.
Well, listen, Duncan. Don came with this program when it was down, and he brought it all
Now,
the way
just a
up
minute,
to...
Phil. Wait a minute. Hold it a minute. The only time this program was down was when we broadcast from under a table for your convenience. Those were the most uncomfortable 13 weeks I've ever spent.
Yeah, and you can stop with that, too, Jackson, because it may interest you to know that I, Phil Harris, after due deliberation, have decided to go on the water wagon.
Phil, you mean you're really giving up drinking?
Yes, sir. Just one martini a day.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Phil, if you're on the wagon, you're not supposed to take even one drink a day.
Jackson, my stomach is like a steel mill. You can shut it down, but don't let the fire go out.
Phil, you can stop drinking now, and your stomach will smolder for the next 20 years. Believe me.
Okay, Jackson. Now you've had your little fun. But since today is Don's silver anniversary in radio, the boys in my band have got something for him. Here it is, Donzel.
Well, gee, thanks, Phil.
What is it, Don? What is it?
Well, wait till I unwrap it.
Oh.
Oh, Jack, look at this. A diamond-studded cigarette lighter.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it, Donald. My boys went through a lot of trouble to get it.
Well, Phil, that's a beautiful lighter your boys got for Don, but you'd think it could be wrapped a little better. Who did it?
The owner of the store.
The owner of the store, huh? I could have wrapped it better than that.
Not with your hands up over your head.
Phil, you mean your boys held up a jewelry store?
Well, it was an accident. When they walked into the store, Remley had his guitar under his coat. Guy thought it was a machine gun, threw up his hands and says, take anything you want.
Well, that's still dishonest. Frankie should have opened his coat and showed the jeweler that it wasn't a gun.
Oh, Frankie did better than that. He took out his guitar, started to play, and the guy said, look, you got what you want. Stop torturing.
Well, that I can understand. Anyway, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jack. I'm sorry I was late, but I was baking this cake. It's for Don Wilson's anniversary.
Oh.
Well, that's sweet of you, Mary. I appreciate it.
Say, there's some writing on the cake, too. Read it, Mary.
Okay. To Don Wilson. This cake is topped with chocolate cream. The middle is filled with jelly. But if you eat it all at once, you'll get a pain in your stomach.
Mary, stomach doesn't rhyme with jelly.
Go argue with the censor.
Oh, yes.
And, Don, I do want to congratulate you on this occasion. You must be very proud.
Oh, I am, Mary. It gives me great satisfaction to think that 16 years ago, I took this program when it was down. And by my personality...
It wasn't down! My program was always popular, and I can prove it. Mary, what was my Hooper rating when I first went in radio?
XVI.
XVI?
They were using Roman numerals then.
What are you talking about? I went on the air about the same time as Mr. Anthony.
I know, but Cleopatra was with him.
Cleopatra. You know, Mary, there's an old Chinese proverb that says, girl who punched joke on radio soon punch clock at May Company. Now, just remember that, will you? Oh, hello, Dennis.
Hello, Mr. Benny. Trick or treat.
Trick or treat? Dennis, Halloween isn't until tomorrow. You're a day early.
I am?
Certainly.
Oh, boy, will my mother have the laugh on me.
Why?
I put a snake in her girdle.
A snake in her girdle? Dennis, that doesn't even make sense.
Yes, it does. It was a garter snake.
Dennis, for a kid who's fortunate enough to have two heads, why do you always leave the good one at home?
It's rehearsing my other show.
Now stop! You see, Mary, you can't talk to that kid without getting a silly answer.
Well, look, Jack, if you don't want any more crazy answers, just tell him to sing his song, and that's all.
I wouldn't tell him a thing. You tell him.
Okay. Dennis, it's time for your song. What's it going to be?
Stomach high.
Dennis, that's bally high.
Go argue with the censor.
Look, kid, Will you stop making up jokes now? What are you going to sing?
The Last Mile Home.
All right, let's